In this video, we are going to watch together a mini documentary from Bloomberg Originals called The Global Oil Bribery Scheme Caught on Tape. Bloomberg is the only news outlet that has some relevant information about physical commodity trading, so props to you, Bloomberg. And I really like those documentaries because they really show something that you cannot really find anywhere else. Yes, let's watch it together. And if you are new to this channel, my name is Damien. I'm from Geneva, Switzerland, where basically are the headquarters of all the companies that are involved in this scheme. And yeah, I have a bunch of friends that work for those companies. As a side note, I also have a couple of small commodity trading business, so it's like baby business compared to the giants that we're going to speak in this video, but still. So I think I kind of know what's going on in those companies and how the market works. So yeah, I'll do my best to have entertaining and hopefully insightful comment about what we're watching. All right? Let's jump in.
This is Javier Aguilar, who's trying to explain why there had been a holdup in the flow of cash for payoffs. He's chatting with Antonio Pere and Enrique Pere, who were being used to pay bribes to officials in Ecuador. At this lunch in Houston, Texas, Aguilar didn't realize every word was being monitored by the FBI.
Mira, le puse hola, ¿cómo vamos? Urge pagar las facturas. Al momento que lleguen los fondos, pago.
Y tú ves que cada vez más complicado.
Realmente cada vez más complicado.
This make me think, like, when you are getting paid commission, even, or okay, in that case it's a bribe, but it's still somewhat a kind of commission. So it's funny, it's always difficult to get the money. So all those brokers or whatever, and I think they all have trouble to get their commission, even when it's legitimate business. So even with bribe, it's the same, and people don't want to pay those commission. Anyway.
Really, we've never seen in this level of detail the facts laid out of a modern-day corruption case like happened in the trial of Javier Aguilar.
And cameras rolling.
All right, Jack interview. Take one, Mark.
My name's Jack Farchi. I'm a senior reporter at Bloomberg News. I've certainly never covered a story like this before. I have interviewed people where they've talked about paying bribes, where they've talked about corruption, but that's not quite the same as listening to and watching video and recorded phone calls of the different co-conspirators discussing how they're going to pay bribes, how the money should flow from one place to another. Aguilar at one point is saying he's got two phones now. He gives Antonio Pere his new phone number. Putting all of that together is really an unprecedented window into how this industry really works. Commodity traders were always this kind of slightly mysterious presence who everyone we spoke to felt like were the most important players in the market. And they were pretty secretive, pretty private. And that historically they have done many things that are less than admirable. In the commodity trading world, in the oil trading world, Vitol is as famous as Goldman Sachs is in finance. They're the world's biggest independent oil trader. In the last 2 years alone, they've made something like $28 billion of profit.
Can you imagine that? $28 billion of profit. And I don't know how many employees they are, like maybe, I don't know, 4,000 or, yeah, I mean, we need to check on that, but it's insane. It's insane, I mean,
In 2022, Vitol's revenues were $505 billion, which made them the world's fifth largest company by revenue, behind only Amazon, Walmart, Saudi Aramco, and the Chinese state grid. Javier Aguilar was a trader at Vitol. At the time when the video was recorded, he was in his mid-40s. In the 2010s, Vitol had asked Aguilar to move to Houston to expand their business in Latin America. His goal in his work was to try and find new deals, find new sources of oil and oil products for Vitol to buy.
That leads
Seriously, guys, I mean, I don't know South America that well, but how do you think you get new sources of oil?
us to this moment, captured on a watch spy camera. It comes as authorities closed in on their main suspects in a massive international bribery scandal.
Yo no le miento, tú eres que le mientes.
The commodity trading industry is a world that has been known for backhanders and brown envelopes since the days of Mark Rich, the infamous godfather of the industry. In the mid-2010s, the premier playground for any oil trader looking for action in Latin America was Ecuador. After the country defaulted on its debt in 2008 and needed cash, commodity traders saw an opportunity. At Vitol, Javier Aguilar started to assemble a team to bribe Ecuadorian officials. Brothers Antonio and Enrique Pere knew where to direct the bribes within the Ecuador government. Nielsen Arias, the head of international trading at state-owned Petro Ecuador, received bribes.
Yeah, so you just heard the name. It's state-owned Petro Ecuador, something as big that make as much money as an oil field. What do you think happened? I mean, so you know how you can see that a politician lies. Do you know the tips to see if a politician is lying? It's pretty easy. It's when they open their mouth. So what do you expect? When his job is to lie to people, when those type of people have something that made as much money as that in their country, what do you think is going to happen? And now, okay, this case is over in Ecuador, but do you think it has changed? Do you think anything has changed in Ecuador?
And finalized the contract. Lionel Hanst set up shell companies that would redistribute Vitol's money to more than a dozen other intermediaries. Everyone would get a cut. The scheme stretched from the US to South America, to the Caribbean, and even to the Middle East.
The negotiations were nominally between Petro Ecuador and the state-owned oil company of Oman, but in fact, behind the scenes, the strings were being pulled by Antonio Pere, by Javier Aguilar, by Nielsen Arias.
Petro Ecuador agreed to sell 17.1 million barrels of fuel oil to Oman in exchange for an upfront payment of $300 million. But according to the testimony in court, it was Vitol that would supply the money and see the profits.
Alright, so I think I don't know if they explain it down the line, but there were at the time in Ecuador rules, I think a law that said that when Petro Ecuador sells to a private company, it needs to go through tender. But there were obviously one loophole in that rules. It's if Ecuador sells their oil to another country, then they don't need to go through this tenders thing. So this is why Oman was involved, because they needed a buyer that can purchase without going through the public tender and so on.
So something like $100 million flowed through the Pere brothers' bank accounts. They paid it out in bribes to various different Ecuadorian officials. The one who got the most bribes was Nielsen Arias, the head of trading at Petro Ecuador until 2017. But the Pere brothers themselves took a large amount of money, so they kept something like 50 million out of that 100 million.
By 2019, the men were basking in their success. Antonio Pere had bought himself a 65-foot yacht. Arias had splashed out on a $165,000 Porsche. But the FBI was closing in, and soon the entire bribery scheme would come crashing down.
In about August 2019, the FBI turned up at the door of the Pere's office in Miami, and everything started to go wrong. In the Pere's office, they found a huge trove of documents. Enrique Pere had been keeping meticulous spreadsheets detailing all the money coming in, going out, and so...
Oh man, they keep quite details in data about what is going on. Props to them.
The Pere brothers started cooperating, and that was really the beginning of the end for Vitol and for Javier Aguilar. The FBI started taping Antonio and Enrique Pere's phone calls, including with Javier Aguilar, including with other people, building a case.
So, we're back to that March 2020 lunch in Houston.
Yo man, let's go back. Alright, so they use WhatsApp. Man, what? It seems not a good idea to use WhatsApp. I don't know. It seems like something, they're not the sharpest. And one thing about that, actually, so they got caught, all right? Those guys got caught. That shows that they did something wrong. Because I'm pretty sure that there's a bunch that are still going on right now, and they haven't got caught, so.
Including with other people, building a case.
So, we're back to that March 2020 lunch in Houston with Aguilar and the Pere brothers. It was one of the final pieces of evidence the FBI needed.
So Javier Aguilar stepped off a plane in July 2020. He went through passport control, he was going through customs, and a man stepped out and said, "I'm with the FBI, I'd like you to come with me." Ultimately, he was charged on 3 counts: breaching the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, conspiracy to breach the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, and conspiracy to launder money.
Other suspects, including Antonio and Enrique Pere, Nielsen Arias, and Lionel Hanst, have all pleaded guilty as part of this bribery case. Only Javier Aguilar pleaded not guilty. As the case entered trial, the secret
Yeah, this is weird, man. Why did he plead not guilty? Man? That's weird, man. I don't know, man. That doesn't make sense. He was pretty well from the beginning. I don't know.
The lucrative oil trading industry awaited the case's verdict.
And so here's a moment from the cross-examination of Antonio Pere. The question, are you familiar with the term lobbying? Yes, I am. What does that mean to you? It means advocating on behalf of a company or group for something that's in the interest of that company or that group. That's what lobbying is. At the time, maybe a little different. Question, what do you mean by that? Answer, because in Ecuador, lobbying, especially in the 2000s, even up until now, is just perceived as a person that has the right contacts and that's able to pay people in the government to get access to different businesses. Question, pay them what? Answer, bribes. There it is in black and white.
Yeah, so, and one thing, like, do you think that in the US it's not the same story? Do you think lobbying in the US, you think I'm taking the case in the US because, I mean, they are the one prosecuting this story, but do you think they don't have lobbying that pay people stuff? Maybe they don't pay the money directly to the bank account of the politician, but don't you think that they put money in there, like, is it called in the US, like super PAC? I don't know, man. Or maybe a cushy job when they get out of politics and then they end up on a board getting paid like $500,000, $2 million just to sit their fat ass. Maybe the ticket is just bigger in the US. Anyway.
After only a few hours of deliberation, the jury in Javier Aguilar's case found him guilty on all 3 counts. This is really the first time that we're seeing somebody face a really significant jail term for corruption.
More recently, Aguilar's request to overturn his conviction was denied by a New York federal judge. He also pleaded guilty to a separate set of corruption charges in a second case. He now faces as long as 40 years in prison, though prosecutors have said they won't seek more than 20. In December 2020,
yeah, man, it's really weird. And what about Vitol? What about the company, man? So he was the only guy in Vitol that knew what was going on. I don't know, man. This is... yeah.
Vitol agreed to pay $164 million after admitting that it had bribed officials in Ecuador, Mexico, and Brazil over a period of 15 years.
So look, the thing is, Vitol said what? They had to pay $164 million? All right. How much do you think they made with those trades? How much do you think they made? I can tell you it's probably more than 164 million. So for them, it's the cost of doing business. But now that there's someone in jail, you know, an employee in jail, I think the traders will maybe think a little bit more before putting those type of deals together. Because they know that they will not have the backup of their company. So, I don't know.
Other large oil traders say they've ended the use of third-party agents to win business.
Yes, third-party agent. Actually, this is always how it works. Basically, what the company, they are not stupid, you know. You think that those guys that work in all those big commodity trading firms can tell you they're not stupid. So basically how it works is this. They are going to find someone like an importer, an exporter, or a smaller trader, whatever, that is going to do the shady. This is the one that is going to do the shady. And then the commodity trading firm, the big one, they are going to finance the small trader, the exporter or importer. So they are going to do prepayments or credits or whatever through this small company. And basically how it works, like this small company is going to produce all the settled document, everything. They are going to like perfect compliance, perfect sheet, perfect documents. So then if something bad happened, like they get caught, the big trader say, look man, this is we've got all the transaction, all the details, we've got all the documents, look at all those shiny documents. We didn't know that the guy was bribing an official. Oh, we didn't know. Look, we had like, he signed it that he didn't bribe anyone. Look, this is the document that he signed. So basically it's a way for them just to back their ass. But it's always like this. It's always like this because right now, I mean, the amount of money that all those commodity trading companies is just insane, and they need to have like some type of return on that money. And if you want to win tender or something like this and the government is involved, I can tell you there's going to be bribe. It's always like this, man. This is basically also why I don't like working with government official or something like this, because it's always the same and I don't want personally to be involved with that. So this is why most of the time I only work with other private companies, you know, because when you deal with like a businessman, you know, a business owner, I mean, you are selling to his company or you are buying from his company. There's not going to be like any bribe or involved because this is their money. So then it's clear, you know. So there's going to be other problem for sure, but not that one. So yeah.
It's hard to quantify exactly how much the government of Ecuador lost as a result, but the profits generated by the traders add up to many hundreds of millions. An investigation by the Ecuadorian parliament in 2022 estimated that one set of Petro-Ecuador oil deals had cost the country $4.8 billion.
As a
yeah, 4 billion, I don't know how they calculate that, but it could be Could be completely possible. Again, how do they calculate it? I don't know. But this is the problem with corruption, man. At the end of the day, it's always the citizens that get. And in most of the countries, people are poor, man. Anyway, so this is why, again, I hate governmental officials, I hate politicians. Okay, this is my point of view on that. I think there is 1% of politicians that are good people, 99% are bad people. Because if you are good people, there is no reason that you want to do a job where you basically have to lie to people because you think that you are so clever that you know better what is important for those people. So you are ready to lie to them. So you convince yourself to lie to them so then you can help them. This is how they think.
Porter, I've had this experience of, in past years, hearing companies say, we've got great new compliance procedures and now we're clean, and then seeing cases like this one. I think it's a huge question whether things in the commodity trading industry will really change. For as long as oil and commodities are continuing to be produced and sold from countries where corruption is a fact of life, it would be naive to think that the US government, by launching a series of cases, even by putting a commodity trader in jail, which I do think will have a significant impact, will change corruption in the world of natural resources overnight.
Yeah, it definitely is going to change nothing, because you know what? Let's say that the big traders, I mean the private companies, let's say they stop, they stop being involved in anything that is required, like a kickback or whatever. I can tell you there's going to be like a Chinese company, a Chinese trader from another country that also has a lot of money. They are going to do the trade, and they don't care about bribing all the other people. So the problem is not going to be fixed. So maybe it's not going to be a company this is from Western Bloc, but from the Eastern Bloc, and they are going to do the same. No problem. Yeah, there's no real solution about that. And again, the issue is like, who is going to lose the citizens of that country? It is why I'm always very skeptical when governments have resources and they are the one marketing those resources and so on. It's already bad when they just sell the license. But yeah. Anyway, again, it was a really good documentary. Seriously, I think they missed a lot of points. So I will encourage you. I will put a link below. And then a link to the article that they wrote like years ago about that, and the article was I think better at explaining it than the YouTube video. So yeah, go read that. And also, man, if you want to break into the world of commodity trading, just check the link below this video and you will end up on the Shipping and Commodity Academy. It's my company where we teach people how to move stuff around the world. All right, ciao.